Hi all, this is Dr. Jay Levinson, live from Long Island, New York, where the weather was decent, 40 degrees I saw on the mercury earlier in the day. That's not bad. It wasn't too bad on Wall Street either. It had its ups, it had its downs. Morning was strong, came back, seesaw market. But what really made me broadcast tonight is not the Dow Jones Industrial Averages. It's not Amazon.com. It's not. It's not Apple. It's a tiny little biotech by the name of Athersys. Athersys, Athersys, symbol ATHX. That's what got me excited. Not the djia, not AMZN, not AAPL, but ATHX. I do, of course, have charts for all four, but the Athersys popped today from 139 to 159. That's in and of itself not that unusual for a tiny biotech to have a little pop on news. However, this is vitally important news. It showed that Multistem, it's essentially its only product, has anti-inflammatory effects that made a big difference in ARDS patients. ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome, a deadly disease. So in trials, basically phase 2 trials, there were 30 patients, 20 were given the Multistem, and 10 were given placebo. And those who had Multistem did significantly better, had reduced mortality by 25%. That alone says it all. Had fewer days in ICU and so on. So all around, it was much, much better to be on the Multistem than on placebo. This is very meaningful because it shows the efficacy in one indication, which means that it very well can have efficacy in others where an anti-inflammatory effect is required, such as ischemic stroke. And that's what the big trial is in Japan, ischemic stroke. It's called the Treasure trial. Results aren't due for a long time, so it was good to get some data. I think results are due in 2020 after the trial has been over for about a year, so that the full impact of the data could be analyzed. I think there might be interim results. I'm sure there will be, maybe after a 3-month period, that all the patients have been followed for 3 months at least. So it's going to be a while before the completion of the Japan study, but I'm very optimistic. Japan, as you know, is very lenient when it comes to approval of stem cell products, regenerative medicine in general. So basically, to my understanding, it just has to have a good safety profile and show some efficacy. And I think Multistem will pass with flying colors. So does Athersys' partner Helios KK, and Hardy, the CEO of Helios KK, makes a good team together with Gil Van Broekelen. They're also probably going to enter a formal agreement to do trials in China, to get jointly. There's been a postponement of inking of a deal, $5 million payment from Helios to Athersys to do the postponement for up to a year, I believe. That's not so important. What's important is today's results. I can't emphasize how it made me feel to get really good positive feedback on this trial. It's not easy for anything to work for this particular deadly disease. So it's really a feather in Athersys' cap, a feather well, it's quite an achievement for regenerative medicine in general, stem cells in particular. Those of you who follow the company know that it's an off-the-shelf product. It's not, what is it? I don't remember the terminology, autologous. Stem cells can be characterized in many different ways, whether it has to come from the same person or not, and so on. And they're not embryonic, they come from bone marrow. So, a lot of the controversy is just not there. And it's totally usable, let's say, user-friendly drug that could be stored and used when needed, just like any other drug, in effect. So the one clot buster drug that we have has a limitation of 12 hours for stroke. If you can't get the patient there in 12 hours after the stroke, it's useless. And this drug, multistem, extends it to probably a window of at least an extra day, probably more than that. So there's plenty of time to administer this drug and it'll still work. That's another big advantage of it. Plus the efficacy might just be better than the, I forget what it's called, TCP. I don't remember the initials, I'm sorry. But today's action was very, very good. I'm going to look at the chart with you, show you the significance of the double bottom that looks like we put in. We're forming a classical W double bottom formation that Nomad, you had it right. We're going to take a look at this. Let's go to the charts. Shout out to Nomad on that double bottom call. All right, sharing screen. Of course, do your own due diligence. Do your own due diligence. Realize that my opinions are strictly my own and do not constitute investment advice. Please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share the link, and what else? Write comments. Thank you. Let's look at the Dow first. The Dow had a seesaw day ending up 171. I think it had been up considerably higher than that. Let's see what it was up to. High of 24.7. Wow. So that's 125 more points. Wow, it's up about 300. Actually put in a low at 24.3. 1,200 points lower than this, 120 points lower than this. What I say the low was? Let me look at that. 24.3. Yeah, 120 points. 120. My brain isn't working too good today. Low of 24,300. So it's 200 points lower. Is that right? Okay, so it was negative 30 or something like that. So the Dow traded between up 300, negative 30, closed up 171, and basically formed a doji on the day. I drew a horizontal trend line right under the low of the day here, basically at 24,003, something like that, 24,000. Let's see what this low is. 24,268. I think we have a cushion of about 30 points from 24,003 to 278 that will serve as support here for the Dow Jones Industrial Average as it continues to hug its new trend line in the correct direction. So I think the Dow has made a turnaround. It's not unusual for us to get little pullbacks. I think what we had might even be an Elliott wave type, I don't know, for some number pullback. Nothing serious. I think if we pull back below this line, then I'm going to start to get worried a little bit. But as long as we can hold this like general area, I think we're good. All right, Amazon.com. Amazon.com. What have I got for Amazon? First of all, I'm not crazy about this purple background, but in any event, we'll live with it. What did it do? It's up 7, basically flat movement from yesterday's close. But it was a red day, even though we're up 7, a red candle formed because the close is lower than the open, not because of the relationship at a close today to the close yesterday. Even though that's higher, it's still a red candle, but it does have a long bottom shadow, which is bullish. It's basically looking like more or less like a hammer, a bullish candle. So I think Amazon did all right for itself for today. And looking for it to resume its upper trend line, which I should draw really. Can't draw, this thing is in the way. Ah, come on. Draw a line. Okay, so I think we're looking at support here at the horizontal line, at the low of this candle, which is about 1590. 1590? No. The low of this candle is 1590. Yeah, okay, so it's only a 50-point cushion that we have, and I think we hit support. So hopefully Amazon hits this line, bounces up. Also, we have support at the 50-day moving average at about 1600. It closed at 1640. All right, so from 1600 to about 1590, 1580 is an area of support. I would like to see a touch of the upper trend line over the next few days on Amazon.com. I sold a little bit today of my original position from the 1400s, but I still have. I'm still holding the vast majority of shares. Apple, a bite of the apple. Is it time to take a bite of the apple? Let's take a look. All right, the chart loaded in. Okay, so we have a positive slope trend line that it's following. It went just below it. We have support at about, looks like 150 area. Yep, 150 area. So I'm looking for it to come back and trade above this line as opposed to below it. But as long as we hold 1500, I think Apple will start to pick up some positive momo. And then finally, the reason d'etre for even doing this vlog, Athersys is the raison d'etre. It put in a double bottom on 1224 and 118. And we have a nice W pattern that I'm fairly confident it's going to complete. Not without first testing, let's say, the 152 area. The low of the day today was 152. I think we will come back to test that low, maybe make a new low at 151, which 150 in that area, and then spring forward again. So I see this over the next, maybe if the market is good, over the next 10 or 20 days, coming all the way back to the 215 area. Very high on Athersys, very high on the news. I would like to see it resume trading between the 215 and 185 area. I think it'll have a tough time getting through 215. But I do think we will get there. I'm very, very, very high on this particular stock, this particular company, this particular drug, on regenerative medicine in general, and on stem cells in particular. So the raison d'etre for doing this video is Athersys. Athersys. Do I like Athersys? Yes, I like Athersys. In case you haven't figured it out, I'm very, very high on Athersys. I'm also high on Cronos, as you know, if you've been following me. Cronos is my pick in the marijuana stocks. Did have a down day today. I do own ABC, ACB, AQR, whatever it is. I also own some TLRY, Tilray, but Cronos is my favorite, my absolute favorite in that sector. Okay, this has been Dr. J streaming live from Long Island, New York. I want to say shalom, thanks for viewing. Adios amigos, sayonara, ciao, arrivederci.